Welcome to Right Fit Leader, a podcast from Alec Broadfoot and the Hire with Confidence team at VisionSpark. This is where visionaries, entrepreneurs, and leaders learn how to hire leaders, lead better, and build teams that last. Through expert insights, real client stories, and conversations with top leaders, you will hear how we find A players for your business. This is Right Fit Leader.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Right Fit Leader podcast, where we explore what it really takes to build teams that scale and leaders who thrive. I'm your host, Andrew Bartholomew. In every episode, we explore how visionaries can elevate their leadership, build the right team around them, and create a culture that allows their company to scale with confidence. I'm really excited. Today, my guest is CJ DuBe. CJ, I'm thrilled and honored to have you on our podcast today. You've built, scaled, and sold businesses, led inside EOS worldwide, and now you've co-authored People, which I'd argue tackles one of the hardest parts of leadership, getting the people side of it right. The book People gives readers all the tools they need to create a thriving workplace culture and shows why it's absolutely essential part of any successful business. So welcome, CJ. And to kick us off, would you share a bit of your origin story culminating to where you are and what you're doing today?
That would take a bit to do my full origin story, everyone. But when you think about people, really that is my story. Most of my career life is working with, living with, loving crazy humans. I literally cut my teeth in the restaurant business where at the age of 20, I had 40 waitresses reporting to me. And then the majority of my career after I finished some schooling was in the placement industry. So I had the privilege of doing a lot of what you have done, Andrew, which is helping people find the right fit and the right opportunity for themselves and helping that leader company find the right fit for jobs. I actually had been founder and part owner with two great other owners of an HR contract consulting business, which we grew from 0 to 8 million in 3 years. And I love doing it. Everything I did was being able to find really great fits from a permanent basis, but I also did a lot of contract work as well. And then I sold that business in 2009, and in 2010, I'm like, okay, now what am I going to be when I grow up? Because every time I look at things, I'm like, okay, I'm going to grow a little more here. What's it going to look like? And that's where I had been a member of Entrepreneurs Organization in Minneapolis. And I had great people around me, and everyone kept saying, read the traction book, CJ. It had just come out. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it like everyone else, right? Finally, I sit down and I read traction, and I went, oh, okay, cool. I did some things really well, but man, I could have done a lot of other things even better. So did a webinar with Don Tinney, who at the time was the integrator of EOS Worldwide, finished that time with him, walked out into the living room, said to my husband, I know what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And he goes, oh gosh, here we go again. Because I'm a little bit that crazy visionary. But I just am wrapping up my 16th year of being an EOS implementer. I'm headed into my 17th, and I have no idea of planning and stopping. So this is my passion. This is what I love to do.
Wow, that's fantastic, CJ. Thanks for sharing. And really, thanks for pouring your wealth of knowledge and experience along with Mark and Kelly into the People book.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much that visionaries can glean from the book. One of the ideas that really jumped out to me early in the book reframes how leaders can think about their entire business.
Sure.
The book actually talks about, we speak about the EOS world, that all 6 components do matter: vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. But a strong argument can be made that the people component is foundational to all the other components. Would you mind sharing and elaborating a bit on that?
Well, with the EOS, we've done several surveys, and out of all the surveys that we've done, if you look at the people component and you ask a leader what his biggest stress is, 82% of the time, the stress is in the people component. Even if you think about your numbers, because we promote knowing your numbers, knowing your data. But if a number goes off track, it's usually either a people issue or a process issue. And oftentimes it's both. So people is the key to what we do. And really, EOS is a system for managing human energy. It's really all it is at the end of the day, is a system for managing human energy.
Well said. Well said. You find that leaders will often resist, like, I don't know if it really is the people issue. And then what happens when they truly do embrace that, yeah, there is a people issue here?
Well, at the end of the day, you think about abundance and love, right? And we write about it in the book. Mm-hmm. And us humans were built for scarcity and fear. Think of the continuum of abundance and love and scarcity and fear, right? That continuum that goes here like this. Well, as humans, we were cavemen and women. We ran from tigers and bears and whatever else we run from, and that's scarcity and fear. So, and none of us like conflict. Even though I don't believe any longer that conflict's a negative term, I think it's healthy for us, but oftentimes that's what we avoid as humans, as leaders, as managers, as owners. So we don't want to go in there and we don't want to have the tough conversations. And that makes it hard. But we need to have those tough conversations when we are thinking about the greater good of our business. And just to dive in deep and not just seem too rude, but the fact is most visionaries suck at leading, managing, and holding people accountable. So it starts with the visionaries and owners. Yes. They get this great idea to start this business and love and love and love and doing their thing. And then they have to add more and more people and they don't really love managing people. Yes. So that's why we have to surround ourselves with key people around us, integrators, other key leadership team members to help us do that. But it's not an area we love to do.
Mm-hmm. Well said, and so true of visionaries. And I think I'll often say to visionaries, you are unique, your business is unique, but your challenges are common.
Right.
And that's where we can look at the EOS framework. It is clear, and it's something that they can actually apply and know that they're not alone and that there are best practices to help them with that. 100%. So could you share what you've seen when they have that epiphany, when they say, yeah, this is related to the people issue. And yeah, you're right. Now that I've got all these people, I don't want to manage them.
Yeah, so that happens to me in the room often. Usually, I'll start with a team and we get through the foundational tools and teaching the foundational tools. And they look around the room at the leaders that are in the room for them. And the light bulb starts to go off whether they have the right people or the wrong people. And just because someone is a wrong person for one business doesn't mean they're a wrong person for the next business. So it's not about a person individually always, but they're not right for that business. And so your visionary owners, and sometimes it's more than one owner. So in a year's time, when we start implementing with a company, someone is added or someone leaves. And I've had it where I have had teams turn over twice in 1 year. And it's simply about getting the right people in the right seats for your business at the right time of your business. Because daring to build an intentional culture is not easy. But if you build out your, as we call it, the vision traction organizer, greater good equals absolutely every single word of that 2-page business plan, that VTO, right? Multiplied by the genuine care and concern. So genuine care and concern sometimes means tough conversations. And I say it a little tongue in cheek, but it's fact. Sometimes we simply have to fire Cousin Fred. Cousin Fred's got to go.
Right.
And when you look at leadership teams, they need to be surrounded by the right people with them to take the business to the next level. Yes. Even if you look at any team, any sports team, anything, who's winning? The teams that are connected and joined at the hip and get it and know the mission and know the vision and know where they're going, they win. And our leadership teams can win too, but it's hard sometimes to get the right people in the right seats. And you always got to go structure first, which that's hard for people too, because I've had Sarah here working with me for 10 years. Gosh, I just built this structure. I don't have a seat for her. Oh no, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. Well, to be honest, if you're working with me, I'm going to convince you. That is, if you're a for-profit business, Sarah probably needs to go. I'm hoping that answers your question.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think so too. The reality of the person that gets you from 0 to 1 likely isn't going to be the person from 1 to 100.
Right.
I think we see this too, with, SMB organizations, what you mentioned, cousin Fred, relative. I know the person, we've been friends for a long time. And Vision Spark, we really want to make sure that we're bringing data, process, and science into that hiring decisioning, right? So that we're getting away from that gut and we're really relying on some more credible information to help us make these decisions, right? Because they can be difficult.
Yes.
When you look at the whole topic of right people, right seat, do you see one more than the other? Is it a wrong people issue or wrong seat? Still a right person who holds core values and just not really in the right place, but might be able to find a place in the organization? What do you see more commonplace?
I actually can't say that I see both oftentimes, because what happens is, as a leadership team, you've built your values, right? So you've built them, you know what those values are, and you live and you breathe them as a leadership team.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes certain leaders will opt out once they see those values written, because they realize, I'm not going to meet those expectations. Okay. So they build the issues. So you always go right people is the values, and then you go right seat, which is GWC, get it, want it, capacity, skill to do the job. Okay. So what happens is seat can get too big or too small. And there's two issues that show up. One is, and I actually had this when I was growing my business from 0 to 8. I had one person, and he was very good. He brought in a ton of the revenue for me. Problem was he couldn't play fair in the sandbox if his life depended on it. And my product was people. So I had my candidates getting upset with him. Then I had clients getting upset with him. And I'm like, okay. So I finally go strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. And I said, this isn't working and I need you to go. He looked at me and he said, this business will go down without me. I went, great, let's find out. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for me, my other 5 people, which wasn't very many, came up to the plate with me and we hit it out of the park. But that was hard because there was all this revenue and I had to figure out, was I going to replace it or not? And that is one of the hardest ones, is you have a salesperson that's bringing in a lot of revenue, but they don't fit your values. So then what? But then, so he was really good at what he did, but didn't fit the values. But then there are those people that absolutely you love and adore them. They fit the values, but the seat's gotten too big or the seat's gotten too small. And so you have to make a decision there as well. If you do not have another seat for them, then coach them and help them find another seat someplace else. The thing in the book that we talk about is GWC flow. We talk about that a lot. And GWC flow, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi is the one who created this thing about flow. When you're in your natural groove of your job and you just love it and you are just cruising, you're in your natural GWC flow. Mm-hmm. And so when someone comes out of their flow, so over time, people can come out of their flow. And so what'll happen is 2 things. One, they could get really stressed out. What happens when people get stressed out? They shut down, right? They just can't do the job. But then you have people that get bored because we haven't challenged them enough. We haven't pushed them enough. We haven't increased their skills enough, and they get bored. Crazy as it is, they actually do the same thing. They shut down. So it's our job as leaders is to keep people in the natural flow, challenge them on their job, and help them improve their skills. And when that's not working, we have to make tough choices. If we, in our situation of hiring people, and we know it's going to take a year to get that person up to speed, to get them to their natural GWC flow, we have to be very conscious of that and not get impatient. And I will say that there are some jobs and some seats in organizations where it can take as many as 3 years to get people. I honestly believe becoming an implementer takes a solid 3 years to really get into the groove of being a great implementer. but we're going to work with you and help you get there. Same thing in any other business. Just be conscious of what you're hiring, what's the seat that you need first, and then make solid hires from there. And yes, there's a lot of tools out there to help you do that.
Yes. Well said. Well said. The book also talks about fear-based decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to drill down into that a bit. What I found interesting is that you don't just point out that that's a problem, but you actually go deeper into why they're making some of these fear-based decisions. And there's a segment from the book where it said the fear mindset leads to all kinds of poor decisions. You hire from a place of scarcity thinking, I've got to fill this position right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you end up with an unqualified relative in that position or a new hire who just does not fit the company's values. So for you, CJ, how does this fear mindset show up? Other examples? And what do you see as the cost of choosing to make that quick fix?
Well, I could give you lots of examples where I've done it myself. Andrew, I'm sure you have too. And even like I literally, when I was placing people, tried really hard to almost slow them down to hire because I wanted them to stick, right? And I think as leaders, it is the hardest thing that we do is to try to, I always say hire slow, fire fast. And when I say slow, I'm not talking about time, everyone. I'm simply saying, do your due diligence, do the things that you need to do, and don't get impatient. Because here's the thing, if we hire a leader at $100,000 a year, it's going to cost us $200,000, high level math, everyone, when it doesn't work out. And we do it out of fear that if I don't have someone in this job doing the job, I'm going to fall behind the 8 ball in whatever it is of my service or product I'm doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you just want to be able to put butts in seats. Old term, maybe not appropriate anymore, but I said it. And so, I mean, we just want to get people in seats. And reality, you're better off with not putting someone in that seat, continuing to figure it out until you get the right person. But we do the opposite too. We leave people in seats, like we were talking about earlier, way too long. Often, I don't think there's ever in 40 years that I've been doing this, when someone finally let cousin Fred go, that didn't say to me, I don't know why we waited so long.
Yes.
Always, always, always.
Yes.
So I don't want people to rush into anything. If you think you can challenge someone, help them with their skills and grow them, do it. But have the patience and the time to do it. But if they need to go, then they need to go.
Yes.
It's costing you money, no matter how you look at it.
Yes. And in my experience as well, very rarely has that person who, makes that transition out, after they've gotten through their little bit of the shock, they've even been grateful.
Yes.
Or it was time anyways, and I'm glad it finally happened. It's better for everybody.
Andrew, I have had so many people, I can't even hundreds of people I've hired and fired over the years, right? And I would tell you 90% of them say that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Sure, there's a couple of people out in the world that still don't like me, but that's okay.
Yes.
But the reality is we have to do what's right for the business, which is why we focus so much on our vision traction organizer, to make sure that we have the right answers to those 8 questions that we ask. Do you have your 2-page business plan? Follow that. That is your guide. Anything that's going outside of that is affecting things. And people is one of the biggest things it affects.
So as we're talking about people and our audience, a lot of visionaries, and they're leading their companies. And by this point in the conversation, there are several things that are going to be resonating. They're saying, yeah, I'm living this. I have lived this. I'm about ready to live it again. And I don't think I should. Right.
Right.
So, letting go as a visionary. I think it's very relevant to a lot of visionaries and leaders. Actually, there was a testimonial in the book, Tiffany Sauter. She's a CEO visionary. And I love it. There's a little statement she said in there. She said, hey, letting go of the vine and fully delegating is often complicated by visionaries since we overestimate our capacity or our capabilities. And she said, we believe we can train our integrators to do a job well that we've never done ourselves. The best thing that we can do is create a clear vision of the future and get out of the way.
And Tiffany is 100. She's 100% accurate, and that's why I call it let go of the. That's why we say let go of the vine, right? As visionaries, owners, we're control freaks.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, and I'm one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm running my business, and tides started turning in 2008. What do? I dive right back in, right? When I probably should have stayed out of the way a little bit. And it's just natural human. But when you have visionaries out there, when you have that perfect puzzle piece, that perfect person that actually gets you, understands you, and understands the business, but knows how to be the glue of the business. Because at the end of the day, visionaries are crazy. We are crazy. So we need that person or people around us that will help us to dot the I's, cross the T's, help us make the right decisions that we need to make to move us forward. And the sooner you can let go of that vine and do some of that, do it. But don't do it unless you strongly believe your right-hand person gets the job, wants the job, has the capacity to do the job, because otherwise you can't delegate. You cannot delegate if people don't GWC, and they need to. So that's number one. So work hard on finding that perfect puzzle piece for you, and the rest of it will cruise and float, and you will be able to stay connected with everything that's happening in your business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And at Vision Spark, I think for me, my greatest joy is connecting with the heart of the visionary. And I get to have these conversations, every day with visionaries and hearing all their joys and their wins and those challenges. And I know, EOS would talk about that VI duo, having that visionary and integrator duo that can create rocket fuel and making sure that it's well aligned, right? So as you mentioned earlier, somebody who would be in the seat of an integrator for one company might not be that right fit for the next company, nor working closely with that specific visionary. And so we use a customized assessment tool called the Talent Impact Profile. And through our search process, that visionary completes that early. So we get a better sense of them with their personality dimensions and mental aptitudes. And then we want to also make sure that incoming leader would complement them. What I'll talk about, we want to make sure they're stretch and not strain. So, the high value on that, when you, I guess, switch here for a moment, CJ, and let's speak right to that visionary. I think it's extremely important. Like, what is that pain point when they're at the threshold? They're saying, I need to let go of the vine. Like, what is that? What's going on in there? And what happens? What's that encouragement that when you choose to step over the line and truly let go of the vine, bring in a person that's going to have high alignment, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, right? Making sure the ball goes down the field with your team. Things are going to change for you and your business. Things are going to be different. They're going to be a lot better. How would you speak to that visionary?
So the visionary that, to put a line in the sand, is when you want to go do this, go network, go discover new ideas, double the size of your business, you personally want a net worth of X, and you feel like you're hitting that ceiling and you're not getting there, you're not getting there because you're the one that's in the business too much. And you're causing it to spin. Because you think of things 10 years out, 5 years out, you think farther out, and that's where you like to play. Now, find the person that wants to play in the business and help you grow it so you can keep growing it from the vision standpoint, from the strategic standpoint. And what happens is all of us do it. I personally, if I get caught up in too much doing and too much in, and I don't have my process or my clarity or my where I want to go next time, I call it my tornado. If I get in a little tornado, you never know what toaster is going to fly out of it. But the point is, when you're a visionary and you want to go someplace else and you can't because you don't have the right people in the right seats and you're stuck, you're going to feel like you're going nuts. So work hard, find those right people that align with you, understand your vision. You need to be clear on where you want to go and how you get there, and they're going to help you get there. because what you don't like doing, someone loves to do.
Yes.
The sooner you get at what you are great at and you love to do, the more the business is growing. And not only that, that's what our world needs.
Mhm.
Our economy and our world needs awesome visionaries that build great businesses and needs great people around it to make it happen.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. So, you know, building on the intentional culture, we talked about that a little bit. I kind of want to circle back to it.
Sure.
There's a statement I love from the book. A healthy, intentional culture treats every human as a unique gift, deserving of honor and respect.
Mm-hmm.
It consciously creates an environment that allows individuals to grow and flourish and contribute in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
So share with me your thoughts on that. And I also know you said that at the same time, we need to do this. We should. But also there are times when we're going to need to have the hard conversation. So how do you blend all that together?
Simple answer is just from pure, genuine care and concern. I mean, on a serious note, if you truly, you should not, say it this way, you should not be a manager of people if you don't truly care about people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes people don't even know they don't want the job.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, for example, there's a seat and there's 5 roles and the responsibilities in a seat. And that seat's reporting to me. And this person says to me, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. There's 2 of those 5 responsibilities I don't like. I don't want it. They don't want it. I'm like, okay, that's quarter 1. Quarter 2, same conversation. So then I need to look at that person in the eye and say, I don't think this is the right job for you. Well, why can't you just give those 2 things to someone else? Because that's not my structure.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way this business is going to operate well. There's someone out there that will love all 5 of those things. So I need to coach you and help you leave. I do that with genuine care and concern.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I go way back even before EOS and I would coach and manage my teams, and I had someone that just wasn't working out, I only really ever had to ask one question. Are you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Majority of the time, they're not happy. How do I help you be happy? When I just ask that one question, are you happy? And they look at me and they go, no, I hate this. I said, okay, how do I help you?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd help them. I'd coach them out. I'd give them time to go look for another job. Whatever I had to do, I'd figure it out, but they weren't in the right seat. So at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time working. We might as well be happy.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, when you love what you do,
Mm-hmm.
it's not work,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's my hope for everyone. And not everybody sees it right away, but once you really start talking to them, then they start seeing it and they realize, okay, it's not. And that's where they come back to us, like we were saying earlier. You know, that's where they come back to us and say, that was the best decision you helped me make.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
when we talk about love, though, we talk about abundance of love. We're not talking about love, the rom-com. We're just talking about caring and loving people. And if you don't care and love people, you shouldn't be a manager. Repeating myself.
Yes. Yes. Well said. Well said. CJ, you're a wealth of insights. Super thankful that we're able to have this discussion today around people. It's been incredibly insightful. If there's one thing that you hope leaders take away from the book and our discussion, what might that be?
The key word in the subtitle is dare. I dare you all. I dare you right now. If you just make one people move a quarter, you're going to get the right people in the right seats. 1 people move a quarter. That's all you got to do. And you'll have the right culture that you're looking for. So I really want everyone to up and to the right and focus on your intentional culture.
Mm-hmm.
Get to where you want to be. Use your values, use your heart, use your soul.
Mm-hmm. For all our visionaries out there, it's very practical. Go ahead and make that first step. Right. So where can our listeners learn more about you and your work, CJ?
Well, you can find me on eosworldwide.com. That's an easy place.
Mm-hmm.
My microsite's up. But here's my email, cj.dube, D-U-B-E, at eosworldwide.com. I'm pretty easy to find, and I take texts and calls and whatever you want, whenever you want. Just know that I'm
Fantastic.
usually in session 9 to 5, but hey, other than
Sure.
that.
Sure. Or spending time with that wonderfully large family, which is great.
Yes, all my 13, soon to be 14 grandkids. Love my life.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. CJ, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us here today. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Right Fit Leader podcast. Until next time, lead well, hire right, and keep building the team that will take you where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Right Fit Leader, brought to you by Vision Spark. Have questions or ready to hire your Right Fit Leader? Email us at discover@vision-spark.com. Until next time, remember Vision Spark is your go-to partner for finding leaders and building teams.